Good night, RH simulation members. Hello again on this new video. Today's video we are going to talk about ground effects, and I have a special person with me, my fiancée. She is also a PPL student pilot. Now she has more or less 48 hours of flying in general aviation aircraft, and she will get the PPL license soon, so wish her a good luck. So right now she will start with explaining the ground effects. You have control.
Good evening, RH simulation members. Thank you so much for your support to my fiancé. I really I always read the comments, and I'm so glad for it. So as you know, we're gonna talk about the ground effect for today's video, and we're gonna deep dive to it. So as you know, in the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, they created the ground effect to improve your experience, or we've said to improve simmers experience. So to understand what does it mean, this effect, we need to understand how the aircraft flies first of all. So as you know, during the takeoff, when the aircraft accelerate, the airflow speed that goes above the wing is higher, so will create low pressure. Meanwhile, the airflow speed below the wing is lower, so will create a higher pressure, and this difference between these two pressures will just create the lift, and this is how our aircraft flies. But we have a problem. The high pressure that we talked about before, that it's below the wing, will always, during the takeoff or landing, will just go always toward the low pressure in the wingtip. So this will create the induced drag or vortex. And as you know, that there is many airlines that nowadays that they just created a device that it's called sharklet to just reduce the vortices or and to have more fuel efficiency.
Well, so thanks for giving us the principle of how the aircraft flies. She is right, because also in the Airbus A320 we have this type of we call it the sharklet actually, which reduce basically the wake turbulence, because it creates the wake turbulence. So good job. Now she's going to move on some aerodynamic parts, or let's call it, we have it in the subject of principles of flight that we studied in the PPL and also the ATPL. Your control again.
My control, Captain. In order to study the aerodynamic, we don't have to study the whole wing. We just need to study a part of it that we call a camber aerofoil. This is the camber aerofoil, and what we have here is the main chord, or the chord, just we call it. So basically, I don't know if you already watched my fiancé video where he talked about the engines. So he really explained the angle of attack, and he explained everything about it. So if you didn't watch it, we're gonna link it down below in the description box, so you can have a look of it.
Sorry, just to mention, because maybe they are going to hear a video, the difference between engine or angle of attack, so maybe it sounds weird, but I really get into dive a little bit into in terms of stability and nacelle shine. So as she said, if you didn't watch the video, just don't forget to watch it. I will leave it in the description. Go ahead.
So as you can see in the picture, we have the angle of attack, and we have also the effective angle of attack. So I'm gonna explain it really quick. So the angle of attack basically is the angle formed between the chord and the relative airflow. Meanwhile, the effective angle of attack is the same, but it's the one that formed between the chord and the effective airflow. And we have the induced angle of attack. So it's the one that it's formed between the angle of attack and the effective angle of attack.
Well, actually, it is. Let me say it more precisely. It's an angle, so it is the difference between the induced drag is the induced drag angle. It's induced angle of attack, we call it. Sorry. So it's the difference between the angle of attack and the effective angle attack. And right now let's me talk a little bit more about what happens to the aircraft during takeoff and during landing, and what happens to the induced drag and also to the effective angle of attack. So before moving to that, I just want to mention that drag, it's basically let the aircraft decelerate, correction. So you have heard in my video that always when I want to decelerate, I lower the landing gear, I don't know, I increase flaps at the adequate speed. But also you need to know that we have a lot of drag. We have the induced drag, we have the form drag, the interference drag. So today we are going just to talk about the induced drag. So actually you can see over here the effective airflow line, the dark one, because I said the ground effects with the effective angle of attack and the induced drag. As my fiancé mentioned, what is the definition of the effective angle of attack. So during the landing, imagine my mouse is the ground. So during the landing, the ground is approaching over here. Okay, well, the ground is fixed, obviously the wing is approaching to the ground, but let's say it in that way. So imagine you are going to touch this line during landing. So this line is going to be up and this one is going to be down. So what happens if this dark line goes down? The effective angle of attack will increase, and in order to keep the effective wind that I didn't mention, the effective lift, sorry, this one we call it effective lift. It is actually this force perpendicular to the effective airflow. So if this one increases, in order to keep that 90 degrees, this one will move from this side. So the induced drag will increase. In general, during the landing, the effective angle of attack will increase and the induced drag will decrease. So once we say induced drag increase, the drag is increased, sorry, is decreased, so the lift is increased. So during landing the lift increases, and during takeoff is the opposite. We are leaving the ground, so this one goes down, this line goes up over here, and the effective angle of attack will reduces. This is generates to the drag to be increased. That's why once we leave the ground effects, the lift actually it will decrease during takeoff. So this is increase, decrease, increase, decrease, make the students or even the flight simmers, if they are interested and they are searching about that, it becomes a little bit harder. So my fiancée, she will read this in order to make it simple for you. So
effects on takeoff. So exit ground effect, wingtip vortices increase, effective angle of attack reduced, left decrease, induced drag increases, increased downwash, which means pitch up, and tendency. Aircraft should carry extra speed on takeoff in order to counter the decrease in left when exiting ground effect.
Correct. So this is what I have said. I actually, and in order for you to not complicate it, just make this tip that I gives you. This is the ground is approaching during takeoff. During landing, we're approaching ground. This one pushes up. This one goes down. Effective angle of attack increases. Induced drag decreases. Takeoff, effective angle of attack reduces. Sorry, during landing, effective angle of attack increases, and where is it, so the induced drag decreases. But during takeoff, the opposite, we are leaving, so this is, it goes down and this is goes up over here. Effective angle of attack decreases during takeoff, here we have it, and the induced drag increases. So the drag will increases, the lift will decreases. This is we have it clear. So this is basically what you need to know about the let's say the principle of flight part about the ground effects. Now I'm going to give you, well, actually my fiancé is going to give you a tip in order to not flare too much during landing, and to watch we have a caution part during the takeoff. So what happens, actually I have a question for my fiancé and she is going to answer the question meanwhile explaining to my followers. So during the landing, once you enter the ground effects, what happens to your aircraft? Well, talk in general aviation, in your according to your experience?
Well, basically it will float due to the ground effect.
Okay, it will float. So it will float. Why? Because we said that the lift will increase and the drag will decrease during landing, so the effective angle of attack will increase. This keeps the aircraft float too much. And also during the summer, what we have in the runway, we have thermals. So thermals with the ground effects will actually will not let you get down. So my fiancé, in order to not float too much, what do we need to have during landing?
We need to configure our aircraft very well, which means that we need to have a very good V approach speed, and we need to trim our aircraft.
Correct, since the general aviation aircraft, they have a low wing actually, and also a low
Yes.
low stabilizer, so it is more subjected to ground effect than a high wing compared, for example, to Cessna. And during the takeoff, what actually do you prefer? Because I know that you flew in international airports. So during the takeoff, if you are taking off before the an A320, which is considered as medium category. So what you will prefer, to rotate rotate your aircraft general aviation at the point where the Airbus A320 rotated, or before or after?
Well, as a PPL student, I fly light aircraft, so I prefer to just take off just before the point from where the aircraft took off, because at that point the aircraft just left a great amount of weak turbulences, sorry.
Okay, perfect. She is right actually, because the wake turbulence, we find it actually at low speed. We didn't mention that, but at low speed. So low speed and low weights. So high wake turbulence. So for you flight simmers, if you are flying on VATSIM and you see that there is just for example A350, or let's say A380 took off, what you will need to do, actually, if the tower gives you the clearance to take off, you need to wait a little bit. We have a separation in general aviation. If how much time you need to wait before the A320, for example?
Well, for a light aircraft, to maintain a separation between a light aircraft and, for example, in this case, A320, usually it must be 2 minutes, but yeah, it depends. Sometimes 3, but it's always 2 minutes.
Exactly, it depends actually on the type. Also, if you are with the heavy one, it's 3 minutes actually. So, thanks, my fiancé, for actually your explanation. I really appreciate it. And also I want to mention another thing that few pilots mentioned during an emergency. For example, imagine if I'm flying the A320, I have a hydraulic pressure, I have a hydraulic failure, for example, and I couldn't lower the landing gear, even with the let's call it the gravity one that we have inside the cockpit, this one, in order to lower the landing gear, even if it doesn't work. So you need to know that your ground effect is going to be higher, because you don't have landing gear over here extended, they are retracted, so your wing actually is near the ground. So what's going to happen, you are going to be more subjected to the ground effects, and this is unfortunately happens in December 2024, the 31, I guess, or the 30th of December 2024, for the Jeju Air, as you can see over here. So the pilots had actually an engine failure, but in this scenario I saw from the beginning of the runway they float too much, unfortunately. But in this scenario, actually you need to slam the aircraft on ground in order to save lives, and even if you cannot land on the ground, just land onto the grass in order to have more friction. But yes, at the end, this is destiny and peace for all the passengers and crew. So my friends, thank you so much for watching the video till the end. My fiancé, you are most welcome on my channel, so you have the last word for sure.
I'm so glad that I'm being here in your channel. This is your channel, and I'm so glad for all your supporters because they always like write a good comments and they support you. I'm always like watching your comments, so I know who you are, all of you. So thank you so much, and all the support for you. And yeah, keep going. You're my captain.
Thank you so much, and I wish you a good luck for your PPL and also for your ATPL. And my friend, I just have also a good, well, a good thing to do to say. I just received my ATPS certificate, so in the next videos I'm going to go through each subject, or even through how to handle the each subject, and exactly the principles of flight, because it's the most important subject. We are using physics here. Thank you so much, my friend, and see you soon. Ciao ciao.
Goodbye.